Welcome to our Eco channel, where we explore the wonders of our planet and the vital connections that sustain all life. From the depths of the oceans to the peaks of the mountains, we delve into the beauty and complexity of Earth's ecosystems. Let's journey together towards a greener future. In this video, we talk about conservation efforts for endangered species. Understanding endangered species. Endangered species are those at risk of extinction due to various factors such as habitat loss, poaching, and climate change. Recognizing the status of these species is the first step in developing effective conservation strategies. Habitat protection and restoration. Protecting and restoring natural habitats is crucial for the survival of endangered species. This includes establishing protected areas, reforestation projects, and habitat corridors that allow species to migrate and find food. Anti-poaching measures. Poaching poses a significant threat to many endangered species. Anti-poaching efforts involve increasing surveillance, employing ranger teams, and strengthening legal frameworks to deter illegal hunting and trade. Conservation breeding programs. Conservation breeding programs aim to increase the population of endangered species through controlled breeding in captivity. These programs also focus on genetic diversity to ensure the long-term health of the species. Reintroduction initiatives. Reintroduction involves releasing captive bred or rehabilitated animals back into their natural habitats. Successful reintroduction programs require careful planning and monitoring to ensure the animals can adapt and thrive in the wild. Community engagement and education. Engaging local communities in conservation efforts is essential. Education programs and community involvement can foster support for protecting endangered species and reduce human-wildlife conflicts. Funding and support for conservation projects. Securing funding for conservation projects is critical for their success. This can come from government grants, private donations, and nonprofit organizations dedicated to protecting endangered species. International collaboration and agreements. Many endangered species migrate across borders, making international cooperation vital. Agreements such as the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, CITES, help regulate and monitor trade to protect species globally. Scientific research and monitoring. Ongoing scientific research is necessary to understand the needs of endangered species and track their populations. Monitoring programs help assess the effectiveness of conservation efforts and identify areas for improvement. Addressing climate change. Climate change impacts many aspects of wildlife survival, including habitat loss and food availability. Addressing climate change through mitigation strategies and adaptation measures is essential for the protection of endangered species. Legal protections and legislation. Implementing and enforcing legal protections for endangered species is critical. Laws such as the Endangered Species Act, ESA, provide a framework for the protection and recovery of at-risk species. Strong legal measures help ensure that conservation efforts are supported by regulatory frameworks. Promoting sustainable practices. Encouraging sustainable practices in agriculture, forestry, and fisheries helps reduce the impact on endangered species habitats. Sustainable land use and resource management practices minimize habitat destruction and overexploitation of natural resources. Preventing invasive species. Invasive species can threaten endangered species by outcompeting them for resources or introducing diseases. Management efforts to control or eradicate invasive species are important for protecting native wildlife and preserving ecosystem balance. Public awareness and advocacy. Raising public awareness about the plight of endangered species can drive support for conservation efforts. Advocacy campaigns, media coverage, and educational programs help inform the public and encourage participation in conservation activities. Collaboration with private sector. Partnering with businesses and the private sector can enhance conservation efforts. Corporate social responsibility programs, eco-friendly practices, and funding from private companies contribute to the protection of endangered species and their habitats. Innovative conservation technologies. Utilizing new technologies such as satellite tracking, camera traps, and genetic analysis can improve conservation strategies. These technologies provide valuable data on species behavior, habitat use, and population dynamics, informing more effective conservation actions. Emergency response and crisis management. In times of crisis, such as natural disasters or poaching incidents, rapid response is crucial for the survival of endangered species. Developing emergency response plans and crisis management strategies helps mitigate immediate threats and protect vulnerable species. Long-term conservation planning. Effective conservation requires long-term planning and commitment. Developing and implementing strategic conservation plans that outline goals, actions, and timelines helps ensure sustained efforts and progress in protecting endangered species. Enhancing genetic diversity. Maintaining genetic diversity within endangered species populations is essential for their long-term survival. Conservation programs focus on managing genetic variation to prevent inbreeding and enhance resilience to environmental changes. Measuring conservation success. Evaluating the success of conservation efforts is important for assessing progress and making necessary adjustments. Metrics such as population trends, habitat quality, and species recovery rates help measure the effectiveness of conservation actions and guide future strategies. Integrating conservation with development. Balancing conservation efforts with economic development is crucial. Implementing conservation strategies that align with development goals helps ensure that both environmental protection and economic growth can be achieved simultaneously. This includes promoting ecotourism and sustainable resource use. Engaging youth in conservation. Involving young people in conservation activities fosters a new generation of environmental stewards. Educational programs, youth-led projects, and hands-on experiences help build awareness and passion for protecting endangered species among younger generations. Addressing human-wildlife conflict. Human-wildlife conflicts can threaten both endangered species and local communities. Developing solutions that reduce conflicts, such as compensation schemes or community-based wildlife management, helps protect wildlife while supporting human livelihoods. Supporting indigenous conservation practices. Indigenous communities often have traditional knowledge and practices that contribute to conservation. Supporting and integrating indigenous approaches to conservation can enhance efforts to protect endangered species and their habitats. Promoting global conservation networks. Global networks and partnerships enhance conservation efforts by sharing knowledge, resources, and strategies. Collaborating with international organizations, research institutions, and conservation groups strengthens the global response to protecting endangered species. Addressing pollution and environmental degradation. Pollution and environmental degradation can have severe impacts on endangered species. Tackling issues such as water pollution, plastic waste, and habitat destruction through targeted actions helps safeguard the health of ecosystems and wildlife. Implementing eco-friendly technologies. Adopting eco-friendly technologies can support conservation efforts by reducing environmental impact. Innovations such as renewable energy, green infrastructure, and waste reduction technologies contribute to habitat preservation and species protection. Monitoring and regulating wildlife trade. Wildlife trade, both legal and illegal, can threaten endangered species. Goodbye, everyone.